Hello there, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority, and today is the 10 things you must do to be healthy in 2021. So this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. This is Healing Matters podcast. You can find me on patreon.com/JasonEagleQRA if you want to help me and support me. Otherwise, get your notes out because today is going to be a big one. There's 5 things that we're going to talk about, which is the basic things that a person can do to be healthy. Now, these are must, because basically, if you just want to be honest about it, this can also be kind of said, could be retitled, which is how to take care of your animal, okay? And I know this too because I've taken care of animals, and we start with kind of just the basic things of. So this is actually 5 things, but when you really get down to it, there could be 10 things because I'm going to go over but really there's 9 things, and 9, then what becomes the 10? You become the 10, okay? Why am I talking about numbers a little bit? Let's talk about this for a second, because 2021, if you do the numbers on 2021, it's actually a 5. So this year is, for everybody, this is a 5. How do you come up with a 5? 5 is 2 plus 2 is 4. So 20, 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So that means that this is a 5 year for everybody. Well, if you didn't know about this, there's lists in terms of what do the numbers mean. And the only numbers that there really are is there's 1 through 9. And then 10, what is 10? Okay, well, we got 10 fingers. Well, but again, 10 is a made-up number, and it's as you go through the 9, then you jump through the wormhole, and now you make a 10, and you start it all over again. So let's go over the numbers, which is 1. So you can just do what's called the gematria, or basically kind of the numbers. Like I said, add up 2021, and you come up with a number of 5, because within the numbers, there's only 9 numbers. So number 1 means independence. Number 2 is partnership or peaceful. This is a peaceful number. Number 3 is creative. Number 4 is work, which is also kind of a home number. Number 5 is change. This is what we're in, change. And this is a good self-employed number, meaning if you're going for being self-employed, meaning doing your own thing, making your own, and even if you can't, like say you're an employee of something like that, the mind frame of self-employed, okay? Number 6 is family. Number 7 is restoration and peace. That's quiet. That's not a business number. So if you live in a house that is a number 7, it's a good restoration. That's not a good home business number, okay? Number 8 is power and success. This is a very ambitious type of number. Number 9 is all-encompassing. Number 9 is basically put them all together, and that's like the height of it. And then when we come to 10, what is 10? 10, there really isn't 10, because 10 is you bring a 0 back. So what we're talking about, like say, let's start with the first 9 that I'm not even going to talk about. These should just basically known, which is number 1, drink more water. Number 2, eat more fats, good fats. That's the olive oil, that's the coconut oil, avocados, the good healthy fats. And the more of the good healthy fats, the more that you can eat less sugar. Everybody needs to eat less sugar, okay? And number 4 out of that unseen list is actually sleep better, okay? So these are just basic the givens of what we should be, and give this to a human or an animal, and they will be able to be healthier. Now we get into, this is the real list, which is, these are the 5 things that you must do to be healthier 2021, which is if you want to know what should I do, and you can go off this list and add more, but this is the basics, okay? Number 1 is digestion. Every person needs to digest better because you are what you eat. Once you come out of mother and you're unattached from the umbilical cord and you're not getting any nutrition from that anymore, you have to put it in. You get certain things that are stored in your body from birth, but then if you don't replace these things, in particular minerals and stuff like that. So here's the things that can assure that if you don't have great digestion, these are the things that you can do to give yourself today perfect digestion by adding these things externally rather than relying upon your good old body doing it. The number one is enzymes, okay? So when you chew up food and it goes into your stomach, there's hydrochloric acid, and we'll get to that later, but it's not really digestion, it's absorption. That's what you are. Not, we can say you are what you eat, but that's really not the nitty gritty, because you can eat it and it goes right through you. You know, if you're a whole and it goes right through you. So it's what you absorb, okay? So absorbing nutrients happens inside the small intestine. And the small intestine, again, is reliant upon, it's these tubes that's reliant upon a bunch of different things that squirt juices in with the food after it's been chewed up, and these are the different enzymes. So, and there's a whole bunch of different organs. We talk about the liver, we talk about the pancreas, but the intestines themselves have their own cells that are like pancreatic cells to secrete enzymes like insulin, secrete enzymes, things that are emulsifiers to break down the fats, things to protease to break down the protein. So a good enzyme, so the digest, that when I sell supplements, and you can go to my website and go to my shop, and there's two different forms of the enzymes, which is one is called digest, and that's just a broad spectrum of everything. Like you take two of these mid-meal, and I don't care how big you are, two is enough for a horse or a small child to be able to kind of go, I'll help to digest. Now, sometimes we need some more specific. That's why we make a Digest SP, which is also puts in serrapeptidase, which is, it's a one more specific. So again, if I'm saying everybody, just go with the digest, okay? Emulsifiers, meaning you digest fats. You can't run your dishwasher without any soap in it, you know, otherwise you're just going to spread the grease around. And your brain, your muscles, your heart, your nerves, everything needs fat. So you need fats to be able to be digested and absorbed. So the emulsifiers would be, like I've talked about so many times, the limonene. D-limonene is these little drops, and you put it in your water. And if you take any type of fat, meaning you take your fish oil or you eat your avocado or something like that, it makes sure that it can absorb. And many times people that are overweight and have too much fat, it's because their body was able to store that unabsorbed type of stuff into fat, okay? And meaning you can't get to it. Another one is basically the stomach, meaning these are the three heavy hitters in terms of if you were to provide this to an animal feed, no matter how old it is, it will be able to digest that. Same thing with human. And that's the HCl, the hydrochloric acid. That's one of the things that we know scientifically, that you can track a person's age and how well they age, because you can have a 70-year-old person who's just looked like, you know, spry and looks like, you know, there's bodybuilder people, there's the old ones, but they look good, you know, and then there's this, you know, 70-year-olds that like, oh, their skin's melting off. So there's healthy and unhealthy. The difference is the people that are healthier have more hydrochloric acid. They're able to produce more hydrochloric acid. And if you can't produce it anymore, then just take it. And then if you, for instance, are young enough, by putting in salt, good sea salt, that's one of the basics in terms of the animal has to have a salt lick. We know this, and there's like 3 different types of salt licks that we have. One is a plain white salt, another one is a orange type of mineral salt, and the other one is this green salt, which is a selenium salt. Now again, it provides all the trace minerals. If that's for an animal, that's for a human too, okay? So HCl and salt, and then the other one, it's acid. Our stomach needs to be acid. So apple cider vinegar is another really good thing to acidify the stomach. Now let's go back to the numbers. Why do we want to work on these things? Meaning, let's go through the top 5 of the list. It's going to be digestion. I'm going to give you the quick one. If you want to, give it to me quick so I don't have to listen to it. Digestion, elimination, breathing, fearless, okay, and then supplements, okay? But let's go back to that, which is why the numbers? The numbers, which is the universe really loves a made-up mind, whether you're an animal or human or anything. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. If you're going to do, basically eat bad today, then make up your mind and do it and put your mind into it, and then you're going to suffer the consequences. And so make up your mind then, I don't want to feel like this, and so I have to change, but waffling back and forth. And then the other thing is you're going to fall some days. Let's say this is your diet, this is my exercise, I'm making my New Year's resolution, you're going to break it. Know that you're going to break it. And so, but don't beat yourself up, and then don't double down and say, well, I done did it, I might as well stay here. Get back on it as soon as possible. Make these changes. And these are some of the things that basically human beings and animals, if you check these off the list, you're able to say, is if I do more days of this, where I put my mind on it and I make my mindset to do this, then I will be able to cover this. And you do these 9 things, then you become the 10, which is you go to the next person. You go to the next level. You level up, okay? So leveling up seems like a really heavy duty thing, but it's not. It's based upon these underlying things, which is give the animal what it needs, okay? Elimination. That is the ability to get poop out, the ability to get waste products out, because I like to describe this to people, which is our body is a machine. And a lot of people, they say, I can't understand this body. But I understand my gasoline engine, right? I understand my car. I understand my lawnmower. Like, I've been trying to start that thing, and oh yeah, it's like in the, and how many people have gone through trying to start up, let's say, their snowblower because the snow is out, and it won't start, and you find out that it's either it's not getting gas, so there's a clog in the gas, or it's not getting the exhaust because the mouse set up a nest and put it inside the air filter or put it inside the outtake, So it's the exhaust. So it's the potato in the tailpipe or dirty gas or can't get gas. So our body is the same type of machine. In digestion, we just talked about what goes in, the type of gas that goes in, okay? Check. Now we know it's good gas. We know that it's coming through. So the problem of it's not starting or it's not working, it must be the exhaust is clogged up. So the elimination of a body is through feces. That's going to be the poop. Urine, that's going to be what the pee. Then sweat, because our body has this mechanism of producing sweat, it is a big detoxifier. It's a way for our to get the toxins of our, in particular, lymphatic system, which is, they're the guys that cleaned up the bad guys, right? That really cleaned up the deep, dirty mess, okay? And then exhale, okay? The most thing, how often do you go poop? We'd like to say about, when you're trying to lose weight or really be healthy and clean yourself out, you're talking about 3 to 5 times a day, solid. That's what you want to do, okay? But how often do you exhale? All the time. And exhaling is getting these gases out. So in terms of the volume of the actual waste products, because you can't see the air, we discount it, but it's the most important thing. So let's go through this list, which is, if those things are not going, people go 5 times a day, Jason, are you crazy? I'm lucky to go 3 times a week, okay? So let's start with the laxative type of thing. Find a good laxative. I like to say, starting with the easiest, the most gentlest. Don't go for the heavy hitters, right? And don't go for like the drugs. Go for the natural thing. So, any grocery store will have the Smooth Move tea. And that works really well. You make yourself a cup of tea with the Smooth Move. You let it steep for 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes is going to be strong. You drink it before you go to bed, and you wake up and I got to go. If that doesn't work, then you add some other things in terms of there's some other stronger type of natural laxatives, and you start working through it. So some people it's the psyllium hulls. Sometimes, it's a bulking agent. For some, it's the galactin. For some, it's the salt flush. Like, for instance, if you're not like blocked and you don't have if you're not constipated and you haven't gone for 3 days, then you can even try the salt flush. Like, say, even for kids, this is a good safe thing, especially since we don't have to get in the car and drive to work anymore so much. You can be close to home. And the salt flush is, you take a full teaspoon of sea salt. So you do this as soon as you wake up. A full teaspoon of sea salt, and then you put that into about a 16-ounce glass of water. Lukewarm, it's actually between lukewarm and not super cold, but cold lukewarm water, and drink it down as fast as you can. Don't choke on it, but if you can get it down in a minute or 2, that's great. Within an hour, you will have a bowel movement. Within an hour, your stomach will, and then literally will fill with fluid, and you'll sit on the toilet and you'll have a blast, right? And it will be liquidy. Why? Because the stomach makes your guts absorb moisture. Same thing with this, if you do the magnesium citrate, the thing where they want you to prepare for colonoscopy, that one's a really heavy hitter. That one will give you lots of cramping. So, You know, even a double dose of magnesium will do it, but it'll start to do the cramping. The salt tends to not cramp you very well, and it's a very good, reliable type of thing. So that's one. Make sure, and then if you really need to kind of get the system purged, there's enemas. You can still get the enema bottles. You can still do an enema. I know there's a lot of people in the world going, you want me to do what, where? Come on, right? Let's get over this. If you've got this animal, if you know like the mother cow is going to give birth and it's got to come out, you will do what needs to happen. Otherwise, that thing is going to die. I'm saying put the same type of effort into your body. And again, elimination is just as important. And quite frankly, if you're bogged down the elimination, you're wasting your money on really good, expensive stuff because it's turning into a toxin that's also, you know, it's turning into a mess. And so elimination, and many times, especially, you know, the big, obese, unhealthy Americans, that should be the first on the list. Is make sure you're eliminating good, then you can flip-flop number 1 and number 2. Okay, detox, it's fine, meaning the Medi Clay is a really good thing. That's a good, you know, basically the Medi Clay is a bentonite clay, and if you're not able to eliminate fast enough, then what happens is it grabs on it, and it's something to put it in the paddy wagon so it doesn't, it's like putting the you know, what was it, the kryptonite. As long as it's in a big lead box, then it can't get to Superman, right? But if it comes out and you put it on a necklace and whoa, then you get weak. And so the Medi Clay is something that you can put into your body to absorb toxins, to buy you some time until you can get it out of the body, okay? We talked about enemas, but abdominal massage is another really good thing. Either do it for yourself or have someone do it for you. You know, like a little baby, just rub its belly. And sometimes even putting oil, like a castor oil pack is you can buy castor oil and put it on some cotton flannel and then put it on your body and then just put like a hot water bottle on top of that, just good warm, or even a hot towel that's been wrunged out. You put that on top of the castor oil pack and then lay there for about a good half an hour and then take that off and then just rub it into your belly or have someone do that for you. You'll go to the bathroom and it will really release a lot of stuff in your guts, and it will people always feel better once you release stuff inside the guts. A lot of times when you're starting to get a cold, like we say this with little child, in natural health, this is like the old you know, chiropractors and natural doctors would tell everybody, if your kid's starting to get a cold, they need an enema. I remember even my dad would tell me about grandma. The joke was it was like, oh geez, everything was an enema. But she was right, because when the toxins build up, especially in the lungs, when you start to get a lot of fluid in the lungs, when you're young, the lungs are a backup large intestine. So if there's some waste products that are sitting there and the little kid's constipated, it has nowhere else to go, and so then the lungs start to fill, so it can start to get it out, right? So one of the fastest things to turn that around is, especially in the early stages, starting to, you know, have trouble breathing and stuff like that, or starting to get, you know, the raspy cough or the fluid or something like that. Do an enema, clean the large intestine out, and a lot of times it goes away. Okay. Yeah. Then we go to number 3. I flip-flop this, this is still inside the food type of thing, which is you need to take supplements. We need to take supplements. Why? Again, if I was telling a person after knowing about raising chickens and raising animals, which is, yes, give them the hay, yes, give them the stuff, but the stuff that they grew it on, even the hay, like our really good hay, it's grown here in Michigan, and these are parts of land that the minerals have been mineraled off, have been siphoned off of it, and the best farmers have not been diligent at putting the right stuff back in it. And so that's why then our government then turned into what's called the fortification of foods, which is the reason why is because, you know, the bread basket was over farmed, and we had these cereals and breads and stuff like that, and people were getting a lot of malnutrition and rickets and all kinds of other stuff. And so and it wasn't, you know, you cannot mandate a farmer do that. And so what happened is early on, literally back in the early 1900s, we started losing these minerals and antioxidants in our food. And so the government said, well, just throw it in the food. And so anything like the bread, everything, that it's fortified with iron, it's fortified with this stuff, it's fortified with zinc and all that, but it's not good stuff. It's cheap junk that is inorganic materials, which is essentially what you would do for the animals. But see, We need stuff that's broken down into an already, you can't eat rocks. And if you got low hydrochloric acid, you can't dissolve the rock. So giving fortified cereals to people that have the iron or have the calcium or stuff like that that's in it, you know, you give that to a person who has 20 years of low hydrochloric acid and they cannot demineralize this calcium. They can't turn it in. It's still a rock. It gets stored in their liver. It gets stored in their kidneys, and this is what turns into gallstones, kidney stones, the joints that are cracky and achy and full with calcium, the calcium that fills up the carotid artery and stuff like that. This is the engine bogging down, and it's coming from that. So we always tell people, if you want to get healthy, stop the boxed foods, stop the prepackaged foods, and get fresh foods. These companies, even like Freshly and stuff like that, yes, they're good, but they are buying their product from the same people too. So everybody needs some basic supplements. And what are the top supplements? You have to start with, for instance, as a living being, as an animal, number one important thing is minerals. Minerals. Number one, because those are the things that leach out of the soil. And if you have low hydrochloric acid, you can't digest those minerals anyway. So the top minerals, the best way to get minerals, this is where we get into what's called the super nutrient trio, which you cover these three bases. This is what the animal needs on a daily basis. Number one would be the greens. The fermented greens is one of the best ways, because the greens are all of the minerals, and the greens are the minerals that have been taken out of the ground by the little root structures and then turned into the plant flesh, which through the chlorophyll and all this other stuff, which is now it's not a rock anymore. Now it's a living tissue. Then they take these grasses and then they pulverize them up and everything like that. And then they ferment them, which then the fermentation process, essentially, that's why cows, like even cows and sheep, like it's super cold out there and they're standing by the hay with it 32, below zero, and steam is coming off their body. And they don't have super long hair. They got snow on their back, but it's because when they eat food, they have this boiling pot, this fermentation process, and the body is able to extract even more nutrients that are in the grass itself. Because what it does is it basically you can take a little bit of yeast, and how much that bread will that, like a little bit, if you spread it, will then turn into a whole room full of bread. The body's able to multiply, and that's what happens with the fermentation process, is it multiplies nutrients. It actually even multiplies minerals, because it makes more bioavailable that was in the cellulose that was hidden and was locked out. So the fermentation process and the greens are the best way to get the minerals. The second thing would be the pH minerals, which are these liquid drops, which are really a great way of getting even more so than what was in the greens, because the greens had stuff that was in the sea missing, especially here in Michigan. So we want to get the sea stuff, and that's what the pH minerals are, is it's basically de-water salinated, whatever, a process of really good clean seawater that concentrates these trace minerals, all these trace minerals. So it's essentially like the salt lick. We have to have that salt lick out for, and we have to provide the right minerals for these animals, okay? Then I would add what's called a 2A and a 2B. And especially this is very, very important for right now, because what we've learned about from this 2020, which is whatever we dealt with, we learned some things about the health. And I don't care what you say, they're lying, or this is fake news, or this is real science, or whatever. They're both, take them, what they both say, and they both say the same thing, which is zinc is the most important thing that we need. We need the zinc, and the deficiency of zinc is the thing that makes this so much worse, because the zinc is what allows the virus, okay? So zinc is something that I would add on my YouTube channel. You can see I do the zinc challenge. It's these little liquid type of thing, and two capfuls, and boom, you're done. And most people, it just tastes like water, okay? Magnesium is another one. Magnesium is so deficient in our body, especially if you're overweight and you have autoimmune. If your body's really tight, if you have lots of pain, you have too little magnesium. If your guts are not working correctly, you have too little magnesium. If your brain is even going nuts, then you have too little magnesium. The magnesium we can take as a powder. I like the one that is a powder that you add into water, tastes like watermelon. I also like the one that's called Calm. It's a fizzy drink. It's really nice, kind of like the original Alka-Seltzer, but I like the one that is the lemon and I forget, lemon raspberry or something like that. And put in some water and drink it fizzy down, and it's good, and it gives you the magnesium with some calcium in it. But magnesium is the most important thing because it helps the muscles to relax, especially the heart muscle. And the more that the heart muscle can relax, contract and relax, it's the relaxation, that's the open bucket so it can receive more blood and then pump it out. So take more blood. That means we get better oxygen, better cleaning out of the system. Then the third trifecta in, let's say, again, a living being is you want minerals, and then you want essential fatty acids. So that would be the DHA. The DHA, and again, the vitamin D is a DHA. So we get into the vitamin D, the vitamin E, which is the tocotrienol. So the DHA capsule, I would say, even just 1 to 3 of them, and eat more of the essential fatty acids. If you've got a problem in terms of digesting the essential fatty acids, the limonene is just a good type of thing. And how do you know that you have a problem digesting fats? You eat French fries or something fatty and you get digestion, or it's like a lead weight on you. That means it's sitting literally like a ball of wax until it, and so the limonene helps to break it down so you can absorb that. The vitamin E, which is called the delta tocotrienol, is it's an expensive one, but it's a super effective one for the cardiovascular. It makes you breathe better, makes your heart work better, it makes your mind work better. Now, even the essential fatty acids, whether it be the DHA, there's a lot of people, including kids and older and people, where taste is a factor and it makes them burp up fish. Even the DHA, I'm sorry, people are going to burp up fish. So what's the answer for a person, especially little kids who desperately need it, but they're like, no, I won't take it? There's a company that makes this liquid stuff, and it's called Synergy, and they make 2 versions of it. One is the essential fatty acids, the DHA, and all with the vitamin D, which everybody needs, and it's a tangerine flavored stuff, and it uses a form which is called mycel, which is it turns into a super thing, and it's super tiny, but it's super bioavailable, and it has its own emulsifiers in it. So you don't have to do any limonene with it. And it's a tangerine flavor. It actually tastes like a Starburst, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And if you want to go the next step, which is they make an almond butter chocolate one, and that one has the Deltanol, the real expensive one in it, but it has all the essential fatty acids plus the Deltanol in it and the D3, so it covers all of the bases, and it tastes awesome. It literally so you can put it in a smoothie or just put a spoonful in your mouth, and it's like a treat. I know people that have even put the both of these on, let's say put them in some yogurt and mix it in, tastes really good. Put it on like a topping on say an ice cream. It's that good. It's really amazing. But those are the 3 things: minerals, fermented greens, minerals, and the essential fatty acid. That covers the basis of the animal. Now I have this next list, which is if sick. If the animal's sick and you've covered these bases, or you're concerned that it's sick, meaning I want to make sure it doesn't get sick, or it's around others sick. We do this for the chickens and stuff like that. This is the list, which is garlic. So we even put the garlic oil, that we put it in their food or put in their water. And so Allicidin, that's a pill form. The Cardio ND, that's a liquid form. The fire cider. We had a fire cider party where it's this old way of making this, putting these different garlic and ginger and the raw stuff, and then you mix it with apple cider vinegar, and then you let that steep for a while, in about a month. Then you add honey to it, and then it's fermenting. But what it does is it turns into this thing where you're just doing a little shot, and it's like, ooh, the pucker factor is amazing. But what it does is, this is the old way of being able to get a shot of more garlic and onions and ginger and turmeric and cinnamon and all this other stuff that's really good, but in a medicinal form. I really like that. So the garlic is number 1 for any type of animal, which is it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, everything. Colostrum. Colostrum is a stand-in immune system. So it's the first milk that any mammal gets, and so it has this immune system. It has the IgGs that, instead of waiting for your body to get sick to produce the IgGs, meaning the immune system, You give it to it, and it goes, oh, good. If I am sick, then here, great, I can use this. Or if I'm not sick, and it builds new tissue and stuff like that. So it doesn't hurt to take it at all. The Medi Clay, which is this bentonite clay, that takes care of, once they develop this in animal feeds and human feeds, which is, because oftentimes there's some toxins that are in the grains or something, because it's been sitting around and oxidizes, and so what's called nanobacteria, endotoxins, now even when a person's sick, so let's say even this big old bad virus, which is, it's not the virus, it's that the body's immune system doubles down on it, and it then dies in its own swamp because it can't get rid of the endotoxins, can't get rid of the toxins that it's like putting a bag over its head, and you will die, because the point is you're just breathing your same crap, okay? So the Medi Clay, on a cellular level, what it does is it absorbs endotoxins, and it, like I said, puts it in a paddy wagon, puts it in that lead-lined box so that it can't hurt anybody. That's the big thing that we know about animals and humans too, okay? AllerCaps. The AllerCaps is an antihistamine. That's one of the things that with the lung problems is the other thing that we've learned in terms of this virus is quercetin as a natural antihistamine. That's in the AllerCaps. NAC, N-acetylcysteine. That's part of a liver enzyme type of thing, and that turns into glutathione. NAC is something that they will give somebody in the hospital if they overdose on drugs or they overdose on alcohol poisoning. NAC is used to detoxify. Or a person, let's say, who overdid it over a long period of time on, let's say, Tylenol, acetaminophen, or ibuprofen. It damages your liver, damages your stomach. NAC repairs that. So again, it's a good in gots to do right now if you're concerned about, I don't want to be sick, or I'm starting to feel a little bit, or I want to get over these underlying conditions this year. Remember, that's the other third thing that they said. It says, I don't care what you say about this is this and this is that. The three factors is low vitamin D did it to them, low zinc did it to them, and forgot the other thing. I'll get back to it. But there are three major things that were real. Oh, underlying conditions, whether it be high blood pressure, whether it be high blood sugar, all these things. All of these things I'm talking about fixes these things too. So garlic helps with the blood sugar. Garlic helps with the absorption of vitamin D and the production of vitamin D and all this other stuff. Olive leaf, the olive leaf immune. Olive leaf is another thing that's really good for the virals. Okay, so we're dealing with virus, and see, everybody has some virus that they come into with them. All babies, everything comes in, and so virus is always going to be with us, and it's not about I want to sanitize against the virus. You can't. You am virus. You are virus. You're made out of that. And so the point is it's not about avoiding something, and it's about transmuting something. It's about going through. You become the 10 by going through the 9. You make the 10. Okay, so by supporting the immune system, and olive leaf is one of these things that really helps. It's also broad spectrum, but it's really good for the viruses. The fermented mushrooms is another thing. The fermented mushrooms, again, it super powerfiles all of the mushrooms, like the reishi and the turkey tails, and all of these things have been clinically proven for take any condition you want to take, heart disease, blah, 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 Alzheimer's, blah, 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 cancer, viral, these types of things, and it helps with all of them. And so these are good, like I said, good in gots for everything. Vitamin C, vitamin D3 with K2. These are the things that we've learned through this process of just cover those bases, and whether you're sick from it, you will get better. Whether you're not sick from it, you're asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, whatever. This helps everybody. So get on this for everybody, okay? That was number 3. Then we get to number 4, which is breathing. Everybody needs to breathe better. Okay, and this is the other thing that's come out of this virus is it really attacks breathing in people. But the people that have the worst problems, the worst of the worst, has already had a problem with breathing, okay? And it's not just they had clogs in their lungs. They didn't know how to breathe because they're breathing too shallow. They are breathing inside air. They're breathing mold spores inside their air or something like that. So outside is just, I don't care if you live in the city, get outside a little bit and breathe outside. Breathe good air. Learn how to breathe. Learn how to slow your breathing down. Deep breath in, hold it. Exhale, hold it. What's called square breathing, okay? But also just monitoring your breathing, learning how to breathe. If you want to, for instance, really increase, like a muscle, your lungs are just like any muscle. So when people go into the hospital, oftentimes they'll send them home with a little breathing device, and there's two different versions of them. One, you have to suck in to make that little ball go up, and then two, you have to blow. These are things that you can actually go and buy at like Walgreens or anywhere, and they're not that expensive. And again, if a person wants to this year make sure I breathe better, is you can exercise. And so these breathing treatment things that they're a good way of measuring, this is where I was before at this number, and now this week I'm at this number. And if you keep increasing that number, you'll increase the volume of how much air you can hold in. Here's another one I would tell you, and I have this one highlighted here. And if you live in northern climates, this is good everywhere, but in particular, if you live in northern climates, stop vaping. Because it's been shown that the vape, what it does is if you're, let's say here in Michigan, and it's a cold day, it's below 32, say it's 23 degrees out, and you're outside pumping your gas, and you take a vape in, and you see those guys blow these huge things out. The very next breath they inhale is very cold, and what it does is it will crystallize because this is a moisture. And it's a moisture, so it's not like a cigarette. A cigarette's a hot vapor. This is already a cold vapor that when it even gets colder, what it does is it starts to crystallize. And they've shown, there's been very, very well documented. And it's not just the flavor vape. What it is the vape itself. When those vapors are inside your alveoli and they stay in there, because you see people when they vape and they breathe, it's amazing how much, how did you get that much stuff in your lungs? And, but what it is when you breathe a cold breath on top of that, then it starts to, and immediately it will crystallize, because that cold breath, these things are, and they turn into little, let's say, ice crystals that are little shards of glass. And they're seeing things like mesothelioma-like stuff, like asbestos, like black lung or asbestos lung, and damage in the lungs. And quite frankly, these are some of the people that have had some of the worst lung problems. These older people that, I'm surprised by how many people vape. You drive by people in the car and you're like, what, grandma, you're vaping? Yeah, grandma's vaping. Okay, so you might as well either don't or smoke a cigarette or something like that. I know that sounds bad, but if you live in the northern climates, this cold type of vaping thing is really, really damaging for your lungs. Now, if we also want to heal our lungs, one of the best things for people, so whether you have asthma, especially for asthma, these types of things, what's called halotherapy, H-A-L-O. That means salt therapy. You can get these expensive ones that, like for $100, like $79 or $100, and it's like a little air machine, and it blows air through like a filter that has just salt. Okay, whether it be Himalayan sea salt or whatever, that's the salt rooms that you can go into. Breathing air that is in salt, what the salt does is it actually pulls the excess moisture out of your lungs, puts moisture in your lungs, so it balances out the moisture, but it also, it is a antihistamine. It's an antibiotic type of say, in terms of it really will kill bad stuff in the lungs, and it will clear fluid out of the lungs. They make these little ones for like $20. I found them online, and it looks like a little neti pot, but instead of putting it up your nose, you're putting it in your mouth and you're breathing through it. And what it does is it draws air through salt crystals, right? And they don't blow into it, because when they get wet, so it's very simple. And basically 5 minutes a day, they say, of breathing through it will really repair lungs. So $20 is really, really, your own birthday present or, Christmas present. It's not that much, or you can spend a little bit more. And what's called halotherapy. There's some expensive ones, but the clinical research, and again, just people saying, I did it for a month, my lungs are so much better. I had a bunch of asthma problems. Now I don't have to do the breathing treatments. That's really healed my lungs. Okay. So breathing, again, getting outside. The halotherapy is, you can go online, just put halotherapy in, H-A-L-O therapy, and you'll find a bunch of different devices that literally, again, if you can, a couple times a day for a minute or so, let's say 4 times a day for a couple minutes, sit there even while you're watching TV, and breathe in through the salt, exhale through your nose. What it will do is it will clean. It's really, really basic, simple. The people that are in the salt caves, it really, really does help. Now we go to number 5. This is the number 5 thing, which is fear less. You need to fear less. Become fearless, right? Well, how do I, do you have less fear? Well, how do I have less fear? This is a very fearful time. I'm built with fear. I am fear. I'm not fear. It's those things. You're making me afraid. Well, nothing can make you, and again, there's the 5 agreements. Look into that. The Toltec knowledge of what was with the 4 agreements, but there's really the 5 agreements. And, don't take it personally, these type of things, which is, again, you are your own life, and there's these things that are going on around you. And, I know if someone's shouting in your face or something like that, it's easy to say they're making you do it. But I will remind you of, say, yes, the force be with you. Here's another Star Wars one. Take a drink. That's the game here, which is Jason, always some sort of Star Wars thing. But perfect example of be ready. But be ready for what? Be ready with what? How do you control this? Is in that Star Wars, which is it was the very first one, which is when we see little young Anakin, who before he's Darth Vader. Well, he gets picked up and trained by Qui-Gon Jinn. He's the first guy, the long-haired, the Liam Neeson guy. Okay. Well, he's at the part where he's fighting with the guy with the double swords, and then what happens is then there's a laser gate that cuts them off, so they can't fight each other. Well, the bad guy's standing there, and he's like a caged tiger, and he's going, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, right? And he's full of anger. Whereas Qui-Gon Jinn, who, he had to really fight. He took that moment to sit down and go into the meditative space and go into his happy space, right? Number 1, it made him more ready to get up, right? Because he had that moment to relax, like they do with the special forces, which is they teach them the square breathing. They teach them biometrics. Do biofeedback. I'm going to go back to that breathing type of thing, which is how can I fear less? These watches, these heart monitor things, yes, they can harm your energy field because of these batteries and stuff like that. But again, they also can have a power, which is they have heart rate monitors. I like those little pulse ox monitors where you can see what your heart beats, your beats per minute. And so if you got one of these watches, look at your beats per minute, right? And do what's called biofeedback. If you are at, let's say, 80 beats per minute, which is too much, look at it and notice how quickly you're breathing. Look at that number and think that number down. Don't do anything. See if you can think it down. And many people can, because what happens is by looking at it, you go, oh, okay, your breathing starts to slow down, you start to relax, and you start to kind of know, oh, right, this is what good breathing. Good breathing, good heart rate is really, right, let's say high 50s. That's a good heart rate, meaning at your resting heart rate where I'm not doing anything, I'm not thinking about anything, my heart is reading this many beats a minute. So you can do biofeedback, and so if you need to change it, then alter how you breathe. A little bit deeper breath in, slow the breathing down, slow the mind down. A good example, good thing to do is how do you calm that baby down? Do it in your own head. What do you do to the baby? Shh. You can do that with yourself. You can sit there and go, shh, it's okay. Shh, I know it's bad. Shh, there's nothing you can do about it. It's all you can do right now. Shh. Calm down, right? Face it, right? So one of the very first things with how do I get fearless in the face of fear, there's fear things going on. Number 1, go back to, you've reached 5, which is really, you're at 9 right now. You've done these things. Drink more water, eat more fats, eat less sugar, sleep better, good digestion, good elimination, get the supplements in, breathing, fear less. Now, so how do I get fearless? You've done all of the things on top, which is how can I basically go to bed at night with those animals out there? I've taken care of their needs. They got all their minerals. They got good clean water. They got this. Their stall is not too dirty, right? They're not breathing a bunch of toxins. It's not, this, that. Knowing deep down you've done your best, okay? There's always, and if you I messed up, there's always tomorrow. You can do it again tomorrow and get back. If I fell off the horse, I can get back in. But the thing in terms of, there's nothing more that you can do as far as just go back to the physiology. This is all about physiology here. What can I do to have a healthy 2021? Your body needs this. And everybody's body needs this, right? And if you cover these bases, then you can set back with whatever's going on and going, I only get a day, and who knows what that day is, but within this day, I've covered these bases, and that can take off the weight of, oh my God, I'm going to die and I don't know what's going to happen. You only have another day, and if you could, I ate well, I slept well, I breathed well, I did this, I did my due diligence, then I can basically go, whew, okay. Now, if I have extras on top of that, that's still not enough, then we get into some of the other things, which is music. Find the right music. Get back in and play some music. Sit down and play that piano that you haven't done. Get that little, find an instrument if you have to, or pick the right music. Stop listening to bad music. Stop listening to the rap. Stop listening to that stuff because it just stirs you up. Okay? I'll remind you of a study that was done with hamsters, and what they did is they took hamsters and hamsters, they will eat their own. The moms will eat their babies, right? And they'll eat each other. Well, what they did is they did music, and they found that, no music, okay, occasionally this happens, but in general, the whole colony works together. You give them, let's say, good soothing music, especially if it's at like 528 hertz and stuff like that. They really thrive, and they're very healthy. Their fertility rates and they work well together. They don't attack each other. Okay, we know this by tail bites and stuff like that. Okay, because they'll bite each other's tails when they're not happy. So classical music, they're happy. Rock and roll music, you see fertility rate, you actually see sex go up or fertility rates go down, okay? You start to see the Elvis type of thing, which is, they have more sex, but they don't necessarily have more babies. And then you start to see some health effects, meaning it's not healthy for them. When they played rap music, and this was back before, and it was really, it's the beat. There was a certain type of beat. What happens is they go cannibal. They literally start attacking. They go zombie, and they start attacking each other. And they literally do zombie, which is they eat each other's brains. They go after each other's brains. There were studies that were done on monkeys, found that the monkeys would eat each other's brains, and that's what would happen. Then it altered their whole physiology. This is real, but it's the music that can do that. So the music can change that. So if you're panicked and upset, I know you like it, but you don't like it. There's many musics and stuff and art that's out there that it's not you that's liking it. And for truth be told, it's bad for you. It's harming you. And really, it's kind of like, like you would say to the lady who keeps marrying the guy that beats her. I know he beats me, but, I'm attracted to him. The Poindexter guy who's nice to me, don't like him. But I wish I liked him. He's better for me. This is mind control. This is what we've been mind controlled. We're living in a mind control type of thing. But there are antidotes to it. And many of the antidotes, like for that woman, I would basically say, you need to outthink yourself. You need to kind of go, no, it's not this way. And start by forcing yourself. Turn that one off. That's right. I shouldn't do this again. I should not be with that guy. I should learn to like this guy. And you will learn to like it. Again, you will learn to change. You change the behavior. Make up your mind. The universe likes a made-up mind. Okay? Music is a great way. Meditation. And you don't have to do any Buddhist meditation if you don't want to. Meditation just means like this. What is good meditation? Shh. Quiet. Shh. Let me hear you breathing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do it in your head. Breathing. Using, like they say, talk yourself down. Do your numbers. 1, 2, 3. Count yourself down. Talking, get on the phone, talk with somebody, type it out, writing and reading. Like this, do a vlog, start up a channel, and start to, expressing yourself and stuff like that. Remember that the more angry you get, you will get more angry. The studies that show that breaking plates actually makes you, it does, for a little while, shooting things and breaking things helps you to get it out, but it keeps you stuck in that. So quickly get it off your chest and then say what you really want, which is the happier thing, the nicer thing. Okay? So the other thing, people are dealing with going outside in the mask, the not mask, and it's the world out there. They're doing, yes, but they don't have to make you angry. Now you can be, I have to do this, I have to be, and I've got to say my words, and I've got to stand up, okay? Face it, okay? And it's not going to be comfy. Then go home and go to your den and get back in your den, lick your wounds and take care of yourself, let it go, okay? And then go out and do it again if you have to. Or pick your battles, but go home, find a home, make a home, be a home. It's not the place, it's the place inside you. That's, all the movies showed that, all the Disney. You had the home inside you. And if you don't, make the home inside you. Learn where that home is. But that's a place to go to heal. Okay? So, and then if we're having some problems in terms of biochemically, I like the L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine is an amino acid, and it helps us to produce dopamine. Dopamine, serotonin are the happy things, the motivational, the happy things. And again, if we take the tyrosine on an empty stomach, there is tyrosine that's in foods. There's high tyrosine foods. But again, when people are burning the candle, and again, just waking up and listening to a neighbor is burning the candle, because the news out there, the whole thing, even if you never see, you can feel the voodoo drums going through your body. Everyone's in post-traumatic stress disorder right now, and so we have to treat it accordingly. The L-tyrosine is really good. The tranquinol is really good. It helps to reset the neurotransmitters, especially what's called the flower, the ziziphus flower or the jujube. It's been shown to really be helpful in terms of helping to fix the neurotransmitters that have been all scrambled in terms of haywire, and we're stuck frantic, okay? But a lot of it's in our hands. Take a good bath, go to bed, do the internal dialogue. Shh, it's going to be okay. Shh. Going to be okay. So these are the 5 healthy things to do to get healthy, that again, anybody can do these things, and there's a guarantee. It may not do everything that you need to have be done, but it will be the groundwork of what needs to be laid for everyone to have it, and then to have a next year and a healthy future. This is the healthy future. Is as long as a body can be provided these things, anything else is gravy. And if you want to be rich, you want to be happy, you want to be this, that's on top of that. This is the basis, and this will give the better success rate to anything you want on top of that. Without this, there's holes, okay? And you can be a rich person that's unhealthy person, and you can't buy health. And especially if you're sick and rich, there's nothing worse. And it's an itch you cannot scratch, and it's painful, and it's torturous. But it's because they missed out on these things, and these are the things you don't have to be rich to do. You can, but see, you can be rich without this, and I mean, you're never really rich. You are very, very poor. You're poor inside when you don't have these things. And so you can even be financially poor and have these things, but then you got it all. You got great riches, the riches that are mined out of yourself. So this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority. Till next time. Do these 5 things. All right. Bye-bye.